Welcome everyone to the SAIS Accreditation Portal webinar for schools. Today we're going to go through some of the slides and some of the topics that affect you as you go through your accreditation and how to use the new tool that SAIS has created for you, the Accreditation Portal. I'd like to start off by introducing myself to you. I'm Damien. I'm the Vice President of Accreditation. Since we're doing this meeting virtually, I thought I'd use an avatar instead. I also like to introduce to you Emily Goldman, who does most of the heavy lifting for accreditation with SAIS. She's the one that you're most likely to communicate with back and forth through the accreditation process. As we go through this webinar, please feel free to use the GoToMeeting chat box to ask questions or make any comments as we go throughout this webinar. Everyone is in mute mode, and so if you need to be unmuted to ask a question, please state that in the chat log as we go through. The portal is located at portal.sais.org, and on that site is the login screen, where you enter your username, which for 99% of SAIS users is your email address, and your password. Your credentials are the same for the portal as they are for SAIS Connect and as they are for the SAIS database anytime you register for an event. So all of those are linked together. And if you ever forget your password, you can click on the Forgot Your Password link, which will take you to a reset screen. By default, after you submit your RFP, request for participation in the process, we grant access to your accreditation portal to the head of school and the accreditation coordinator. If you need others to have access to it, you just need to let us know that. What we'll do now is actually go to the live site. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to log in as a user. I'm going to log in as Barbara Dosh, who's the head of school in Memphis, Tennessee, called St. Agnes Academy, St. Dominic School. And she's also the chair of the SAIS Accreditation Committee. On everybody's dashboard screen, this is essentially what it looks like, where your name is in the top left, and across the top right are some buttons that you can use to get some extra help. One for the team in school, one for chairs, one to contact SAIS, and one to go to the SAIS website. We'll go to the team in school link first. This takes us into SAIS Connect, and specifically into the community for accreditation coordinators and team members, where you'll see there are some helpful documents and a place for discussions. SAIS Connect is a place where everything's divided up into communities, and there are lots of great conversations going on among heads of school, academic deans, facilities folks, and people who are running technology in schools. Lots of great conversations that are going on. The login for SAIS Connect is the same as your login for the accreditation portal and the same as your login for SAIS to register for events. So again, that link is up here in the top. The dashboard that you'll see is very similar. Your school, when your accreditation has been activated, will appear right under the word My School. If you're chairing visits for SAIS, if you're serving on it as a team member, you'll see additional boxes down below your school, which indicate what your role is in the accreditation process. And by the same token, if your school is not going through the process, but you're serving on a team, you won't see the My School at all. What we're going to do is go straight into the Edit button to click into the school. This is the Report Dashboard screen. And what we've got across the top are some of the key dates for the visit, when it starts, when it ends, when the pre-visit occurs. If we happen to know, if you tell us when the pre-visit occurs, we'll stick it into the database so it appears here. Typically, the pre-visit occurs somewhere between 6 and 9 months before the actual visit date. The school report is due about a month ahead of time before the visit occurs, and the visit report, which the team writes, is due 3 weeks after the visit. You'll notice along the right-hand side various information about the head of school, accreditation coordinator, team chair, team members, and contact information. In the main part of the report screen are links to the 3 sections that an SAIS member school is required to write for accreditation: the school snapshot, the response to standards and indicators, and the school report. We'll click into the school snapshot first. We see a little bit of information about what to enter. And after clicking the Edit button, we see the school snapshot entry screen with some more detailed information and directions. This school has entered their school snapshot. They've listed the mission, listed some principles, talked about the history of the school, described the process they went through for self-study, and listed some of their large goals that they're working on. Make sure to save all responses. A couple of buttons that are available to you that I want to point out. Across the top in all of the entry screens are some formatting buttons. Paste as text, paste from Word, bold, italics, etc. And also this button right here on the far right, which toggles to full screen mode. Sometimes it's easier if you are composing in the portal to go ahead and look at it full screen. We're going to toggle back from full screen, save responses, and we'll go back to the report. Now, you certainly don't have to work on these sequentially. I'm just going through them in order from top to bottom. But many schools at this point who are using it are choosing to work on standards and indicators first and get to school snapshot as they have time. That's fine, not a problem. Just remember that everything must be completed in time for the pre-visit and in time for the actual visit. Under the Standards and Indicators button, there's a little bit more text about how to respond to a standard. SAIS requires essentially a 3-part response. Part 1, you actually go on record and say, yes, the school is in compliance with the particular indicator. So you come up with some affirmative statement. Part 2, you describe how your school is in compliance. And Part 3, offer whatever evidence you're going to make available to the visiting chair and the team. We've seen this twice now. Click here for the Portal Quick Reference Guide. It was also available in the school snapshot. I'll go ahead and click it, and it pops up a PDF with some quick reference. Describes what the dashboard views look like. Describes what the menu choices are at the top. What the entry screen looks like. What all those formatting buttons actually mean. And a little bit more information about the portal. Once you enter into any of the standards, you'll see that the basic text is at the top with the italics of the descriptor. And then each of the indicators is listed one after the other. For each indicator, you'll write your response. An affirmative statement that says you are in compliance, a description of how you're in compliance, and whatever evidence you're going to offer. So in this instance, we could have typed, you'll see on site the mission of the school on all boards or something like that. In this case, the school chose to highlight some of what they wrote and use the Insert Link button to insert a link. Make sure again to save all responses. At any point when you're ready to see what your standards report looks like, up in the top right, this gray button says School Snapshot and Standards. I'll click it, and what happens is we just compiled a report as a PDF to present to you that lists some basic information about when your visit is, who the head is, who the team chair is, some standard text from SAIS. but also your school snapshot as a PDF, and your response to all the standards and indicators. And again, if you put a hyperlink in, these are live links. So I'll click on that link, which will take me to this page that we put in earlier that lists a variety of things about the school. Your team automatically has access to this document. So there's no need to email it to them. They've got access to this so that they know how you're responding to standards and indicators automatically. Inside of the standards and indicators, one thing to point out, you may have 2, 3, 4 people who are working on your standards and indicators and on your school snapshot. One person at a time can work in any of these sections. So you could have as many as 5 people working simultaneously, but they just can't work in the same section at the same time. So when I click Edit, this loading button appeared for a moment. What the system's doing is checking to see if anyone else is currently logged in and working on this particular section. This is a safety mechanism that we built in to make sure that you can't overwrite someone else's work before they have a chance to save it. The last thing that I want to point out is the school report. The school report is a document that you create that is a response to the SAIS critical questions. After you've completed a thorough self-study, one of the results of self-study is that there will be things that you realize that you want to do in the future, things you want to do better, things you want to stop doing. The results of your self-study really are to frame some strategic goals that the school has come up with. What we ask you to do is, after you've arrived at whatever these strategic goals are, perhaps forming committees based on the strategic goals is the method that you want to use to address the critical questions. So let's say, for example, as a result of self-study, you realize you want to have better integration of technology into the classroom. Okay, so what we ask you to do is ask yourself the 4 critical questions related to that topic. Where are you with it? Where are you going? How are you going to get there? And what metrics will you set up so that you can assess your progress towards your goal? Your responses to those 4 critical questions, as they relate to your strategic goals, really form the basis of what we call the school report. There's more information in the accreditation guidebook that you can reference online. After you've written your school report, we don't tell you exactly how you have to write it. You're free to write it in a variety of ways. You are welcome to upload your finished report or describe how you're going to get it to the team. So let's say you want to put it on a CD and mail it to them. Great. Just put a note in there that that's what you're going to do. Or share a link with them. You can put a link in there. Or maybe you want to print it out and mail it to them. Any of those methods are perfectly fine. What we found is that many schools would prefer to do this digitally. So we've given schools an option and a way to do it digitally. When you've finished your snapshot and you mark it complete, and you finish all your standards and indicators and mark them complete, a new box pops up that says Mark Report Complete. When you click this button, a warning message pops up that says, are you really sure that you're ready to submit your report? Because what happens when you click OK, you get locked out of editing your report, your snapshot, and your indicators anymore. And also, a notification is sent to the visiting team that says that your report is ready to be read. Until you mark a report complete, you can go back and reopen any section that you want. This maybe is a tool that you want to use with the various folks who are serving on your steering committee at the school to indicate back and forth to each other when you feel like you've finished a section and want it to be edited by someone else maybe. And lastly, you have a way to share information directly with the visiting team with the important notices. So you can add as many notices as you need to. When you add a notice, give it a title. You can put a link in, upload a file, and send a message. This may be something that'll be useful for you if you want to post directions to the hotel or provide the location for the final visit schedule or any of a host of different possibilities. When you click Add, what happens is a notification is sent to the visiting team that tells them that there is a notice inside of the portal for them to go and get. One of the questions that's come up throughout these workshops is when you're typing in one of these sections, is there a spell check? The answer to that is it's our understanding that a spell check is a web-driven, is a I'm sorry, a browser-driven tool. So in your tool that you're using, whether it's Chrome or Internet Explorer or Safari or Firefox or whatever else you're using, the spell check exists inside of those browsers. So check your own browser settings to see how you can turn that on. The initial response to standards and indicators is due in time for your pre-visit. So your pre-visit occurs about 6 months before the actual visit. And at that point, or a couple weeks before that, your visiting team chair is expecting to read through your initial response to all of your standards and indicators. What we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to separate the compliance aspect of accreditation, namely your compliance with standards and indicators, from we would like to do as much of the compliance work before the visit occurs so that the visit itself can really focus on your future plans and your strategic growth mindset. The visiting team is actually going to respond to your school report, your response to the questions: where is the school, uh, where is it going, how's it going to get there, and how's it going to know and chart its progress along the way. So really the visiting team responds to the SAIS critical questions when the visiting team writes its own report. And as a final reminder, when you're finished with standards and indicators, the visiting team automatically has access to it because there's another side of the accreditation portal for visiting team chairs and visiting team members where they've got access to the report that you wrote, your snapshot, your standards and indicators, and your school report. That's the end of the prepared comments that I've got. Love to open it up for any questions. You can either chat a question or feel free to chat a question or feel free to chat that you'd like to be taken off mute, and you can ask a question. I'll note one thing, that the standards and indicators are actually built as sets of standards. So this is the SAIS standard set. There are a variety of other agencies that SAIS is working with that may have additional standards that can be dropped in here. The SACS or Advanced Ed standards are identical to SAIS, or are answered if you answer the SAIS, so that's not an additional set of standards. But an additional set may be for ACSI or AMS Montessori, or we're working towards getting Friends School standards in here, or perhaps something else that might come up in the future that we haven't even imagined yet, that would like to partner with, that a school would like us to partner with. We can build those in so that you can do compliance for multiple agencies all in one location. By the same token, if a school, if another agency has additional reporting from the visiting team side of things, we can also build the visiting team report a little bit differently, which we've already done with a couple of our accrediting partners. We're here to help you go through the process. We'd love to see you be as successful as you can be through the accreditation process. We built the portal so that we could make it a little bit easier for you to present your materials and to present your school in the way that you want to do that. So thanks for joining, and if there are no questions, we'll go ahead and end the session. But please, again, feel free to ask questions at any point along the way. Send us an email, call us. We are happy to happy to go through this and help you as much as possible. We're working with, and I'm going to answer David's question specifically. We're working directly on that, David. We're working on that right now, and hopefully we'll be able to resolve that within the next couple weeks, so that we can stick it into the reaccreditation process, so that you don't have to have multiple visits. Thanks again for joining us today. I'll go ahead and end the session, and everyone have a great day. Thanks so much.